Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Henry Golding, this is Declan Hopkins, and we are here to do some pair programming together, which we will record. We're going to work on a refactoring kata that Declan put together for a book club that we are working on together. And we're going to work as a pair. We're using Visual Studio Live Share. I am in Visual Studio. Declan joins me via Live Share, so he can manipulate the ID as well. And I'm going to add chapters to this video, so you can skip around to bits that interest you. And if you find this valuable, please obviously like, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever the kids say these days. So with that out of the way, Declan, do you want to introduce the kata?
Yeah, sure. So this is the Museum of Fine Arts kata. I kind of threw it together to exercise like some object-oriented refactors that we're reading about in the book Refactoring by Martin Fowler. So I'll just read the introduction paragraph here. So it's your first day on the job as museum curator at the Fowler Museum of Fine Arts. Your job involves keeping an eye on the value of all the museum's paintings, a value which depends on certain circumstances in the art market and the rarity of each individual painting. Luckily, your predecessor wrote up this C# program to make some solid assumptions for you. You've inputted a few paintings, which are the ones defined in main, but still aren't sure how this tool even works. So this code must be refactored.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we should start by building the thing. Let's give that a go. Appears that the build succeeded. Let me just get rid of some of these notes. Okay, so it built, and I guess we should also run the tests. So let's see if I bring up the test explorer. I'm going to try and dock it over here. Looks like 4 tests have been discovered. Let's run them. And they all currently pass. Excellent. And so, of course, I'm wondering how much coverage do we have from these tests? We can take a quick look at them. So it looks like we've got museum with 1 anonymous painting, get count anonymous paintings returns 1, final value painting. Okay, so we've got some kind of a few different circumstances, and we're checking that the final value is correct. And we have this one that is testing get count of anonymous paintings. And so I think we can, it's not through analyze, is it? You remember, Declan, how we run the coverage? Oh, analyze code coverage for all tests. I don't know what the shortcut is for that, but let's do that. Okay, and so let me turn on the code coverage coloring. I always have a hard time, I guess, in the dark theme with figuring out what is covered and not covered, but this weird color must be covered because it's the tests.
Yeah.
Okay, so I assume this red color is not covered. So this is interesting. So the getter for name, the getter and setter for transaction log, setter for paintings, blah, 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 blah. Looks like we have a case here, rarity modifier. Oh, in the case where the painting is very common, we don't have coverage of that branch. And then we also don't have coverage if the art is currently trending. We don't have coverage of this display painting values. We do have coverage of get count of anonymous paintings. And then we have a main method, which is not executed. So what do you think, Declan?
Well, let's scroll back up a little bit and see. I actually don't get the code coverage on my live share thing, which is interesting. But it looked like, yeah. It seems like maybe a good place to start. I mean, if we're talking about expanding the tests, I mean, an easy one would be this like extra branch right here, because it looks like we're already covering some of the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, should we start then? And I'll type, you talk.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Okay, so let's first check let's see where these, other branches are currently tested. So I assume there's like a final painting value tests.
Yep, looks like there are 3 of them.
Okay, and what's the difference between all of these? So this one creates like just a 0 value painting, and then this one creates like a rare one, and then a unique one, all with different values. And one of them is the currently popular rarity in that third test there. So we're basically just setting some stuff up. Okay. Can we go back and look at that branch again?
Yeah.
Looked like it was checking. It's basically just if the painting rarity is very common, it looks like.
Yeah.
So let's just go and add a new test then. Let's go back
All
over
right.
there, and I guess we can copy this test that you're currently hovering over. Yeah.
This guy?
Yeah. And
All
we'll just
right.
paste it wherever. And we are going to have a what is it? What was it? Very common or
Very common, yeah.
very common? Okay, so we have a very common painting. And I don't think we care about the art market in this test, so I'd say we omit it from the test name.
Okay. So I'll remove with non-trending art market.
And also line 57 can go as well in that case.
All right.
Good. So we have a very common painting, and we're just checking the final painting value with the default museum. And we're going to change line 57 again to have a rarity of very common.
And that's lowercase very underscore common, if I remember.
Yep.
All right.
And what do we think about the value? Does it matter to change that for test coverage? I don't think it will matter.
I think we would approach it the same way we approach the legacy code generally, right? The legacy code is always right, even if it's wrong. So whatever it currently returns is what we should check, make sure that it continues to return as we change it.
Sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it then. Yeah.
All right. It looks like we have a failing test.
Okay.
Expected 4.8, actual 0.8.
All right, well then that's what we want. We want 0.8 M, which I guess is the monetary, the money.
Yeah, it's like it's a decimal literal.
Yeah. All right, let's run that and see.
And it passes.
Cool. And what's our coverage looking like? Do we want to run that again?
Great question. Yeah, let me hit that again. All right, I'll go back to program. I'll turn on the coverage visualization. Yep, it's now covered.
Perfect. What next? Did we have anything else in here? Oh, what's this?
Yeah, maybe we should swap.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Cool. All right, I'm talking, you're typing. So yeah, I think on line 70 we have this case that isn't covered, the art market modifier. And it looks like it's driven by the on line 64. If not, is art currently trending? So that would seem to suggest that we would want the art to be currently trending in order to hit that other branch.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, yeah, let's go add a test for that. Maybe let's switch to the test file.
I just hopefully.
Oh, I might need to follow you. Okay, yeah, I'm following you now.
All right. So
yeah. So I guess let's take the very common painting, like the test that we just, or maybe the rare painting on line 42.
Okay.
And let's copy that one into a new test. And we'll say rare painting. I guess we don't really care what rarity it is. So let's just say painting with trending art market. Love to come back later and talk about these is correct names. But for now, let's go ahead and say, so on line 57, let's set that to true. Is art currently trending? Should be true. And then on 58, let's remove the rarity. I don't think we care. Yeah, and let's run the test. Are you able to do that through the live share, or do you need me to do that on my end?
There might be a way, but right now it tells me that the host doesn't support letting me do that. So I think you
Alrighty.
just run.
Yeah, let me give it a go. All right, we have
I
one.
do see the results. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yes, we've got the one failing test expected, 4.8 actual, 0.5. So let's go ahead and plug in 0.5 as the expected result.
Okay.
And I will hit analyze code coverage again. And the tests all pass. And our coverage, I turn it back on, we now have coverage over that block, which is great.
Awesome. I think that's the whole function then.
Nice. All right. So what else do we have that isn't covered?
We have display painting values, but that's kind of just like I mean, for now, it's just a tiny bit of logic mixed in with the print. So not sure
it's
how valuable
outputting
it
to
is.
the console, yeah. And then I think below there's main as well, which is what calls display painting values.
Yeah, and I'd also argue, that coverage of main is not important.
Well, let's talk about that, because I feel like, this is the program, right? This is the program does something. So coverage of main does seem fairly important. I guess, could we see what it does? Let's see what like logic is in there that we might want to test. So we add a painting, we add another painting. Or maybe I should follow you again, sorry. Oh no, it looks like I'm supposed to be still following you.
We basically add 3 paintings.
Yeah, and we display values. We set the artist currently trending. We change saturation, and then we display again, and then we get count of anonymous paintings, and we print that out. So really, we're adding some paintings, getting some values. Obviously, this is just an example, but I would imagine that this is kind of important, right? Like if this application is used by the Fowler Museum of Fine Arts, they would care substantially if it stopped outputting the correct information.
That is true. Yeah.
And because this is C#, I think we can actually get this under test. We could put a pinning test around this to safeguard ourselves as we work with it, if you'd be open to that.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what the method is for doing that.
Yeah. Well, so what I was thinking is this has side effects. The side effects are output into the console. We could just have a test which calls main and wraps it in redirects it to a buffer, and then we just check that it's the same as we thought it was. So basically a handwritten approval test.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
and especially considering it's all console.
Yeah, sure. And if that wasn't available, then we could maybe replace. We could refactor it such that any time that it outputs to the console, we extract method. And it's already extracted method in the case of display painting values. I think we could maybe figure out a way to do some safe-ish refactoring to basically plug in, a string buffer of our own if we needed to. So there's a couple of ways I think we could approach it. But I like the capturing the console
Henry,
because it doesn't.
Your audio.
Oh, can you still hear me?
And you're back.
Great.
You're
Sorry, maybe I looked away. I have a dodgy webcam here. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. So yeah, I like in this case, I like the idea of capturing the console output because we don't have to change the code. So we have more confidence that we didn't break it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, especially as like a first step.
Cool. So, well, in that case, I guess why don't we go add a test?
Okay. I guess I'm still typing.
Oh, yeah, we could switch actually. Why don't you drive?
Okay. Well, this is your approach and idea. So you keep driving for a little bit.
All right, I'll drive. Okay, so let's just go add a test.
Okay, I'm in the new test file. I'm going to copy the very common one.
I'm now following you again, and I'm just going to turn off this coverage information so it's not so noisy on the screen. Yeah, let's add a new test.
Got one here.
All right, and let's start just by seeing if we can call main directly. We can call the test applesauce, I guess, or maybe just call it main approval or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. If it doesn't like that, can we go back to the program.cs and just see? So, because I think you might have to qualify it by the class name, right? Is main a static method on that class?
Yeah. Static void. Program.main, and then what do I have to give it an empty string array?
That's interesting.
I'm
I
not
think
seeing any error.
when you jump back to program.cs, it looks like it doesn't quite follow you accurately. Would you mind jumping there right now?
Just did.
Oh, okay. No, it looks like this. So yeah, a string array of arguments. So yeah, you can just, I guess, it doesn't use the arguments, does it? So maybe you could just pass null. Okay. And it's inaccessible due to its protection level. Program.
That's interesting.
Protection level.
I'm not seeing any compilers right now, but I wonder if we just need to make program public.
Let's give it a try. Okay, and now main is inaccessible due to its protection level. I think because it's C#, you could make it internal. Or actually, no, I don't think that would work because the tests are in a different assembly, so ignore me. I'm not sure what if internal were, well, I think it's internal to the assembly.
Would it still count as a safe refactor to just to extract method everything in here to like a separate kind of inner main that we could test?
Potentially, yeah. Will it not let us make main public?
Let's try that. Any errors?
It seems happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and run that test just to see if anything bad happens. It looks like it was happy, and it looks like there is some output here, which we would expect in the standard out. So that's good.
Yeah.
So then we want to capture that that output, and I think actually last time I ended up looking up how to do this because it's a little bit arcane. So this might be a Stack Overflow trip.
Gotcha.
Yeah, do you mind looking that up, Declan?
Yeah. Trying to redirect standard output. I don't want process output. That's the main thing I'm seeing. Okay, console.setOut.
Yeah, that sounds right. And it takes a text writer.
Yeah, console.setOut writer, and we do like a using writer is new stream writer. Gotcha. Yeah, I think I see how to do this.
Okay, cool. Then let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a new string writer, I guess. I've never actually done this before, or maybe I have, but I think it's just, what does it take? It takes what we actually want to write or read from. Our stream writer is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm going to see if I can find an example as well.
I see an example of it, of outputting it to a file.
Yeah, is there a string writer? There's a type which is like a string buffer, right?
Yeah. New string writer, so I guess that this is right.
Okay, so and it looks like it just wants the using. So if you hover over it, it should give you the option to like fix it by adding the appropriate using statement.
The thing is, I get okay. Yeah, here we go.
Nice. I'm just going to roll up the top for the sake of it's about added system.io, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So we have so I'm creating it and setting the output, and I think that's
yeah,
it.
and I think we need the same thing for console.
Same.
It needs the using statement so that it knows what console is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not getting any compilers.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I can do it on this side. On my side, I'm seeing a red squiggly under it. Oh, I guess it looks like you just fixed it.
Yeah, like I get the suggestion, but I don't get the highlight all of a sudden. It's very weird.
Yeah, I must say it seemed to work better in VS Code, didn't it, than it does in Visual Studio.
Yeah, I'm even having problems with the test explorer all of a sudden.
All right, well, we will soldier on and see what we can do. Worst case, we can switch to VS Code.
Yeah. It seems like apparently the next thing we have to do is flush the console. And then we can grab the actual string by just going into the writer, I guess. What do you think about that?
Seems reasonable to me. It's complaining about flush. Console does not contain a definition for flush.
Maybe this is an outdated. Oh, it's the writer.flush. Of course, that makes more sense.
All right. You'd think that would kind of happen automatically, wouldn't you, with the toString call? But
yeah,
well,
maybe we can try without it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, do we want to like actually put this out, or?
Well, how about we assert .r=, and what's the order of those? Is it the expected first or the actual? I forget.
Expected.
Yeah, so that's just some random string, and then the actual can be output.
Cool.
All right, and I'm going to run the tests and see what happens. All right, so it looks so far so good. We've got main approval has failed. Message, blah, 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 expected, but it was then the list of all the paintings. Perfect. So all that remains is to take this output and make that the value that we're comparing against. So are you able to do that on your end? Or,
yeah. I see it here. Let's see. I'm just going to copy it. And then can I define a string for it up here?
Yeah.
So this is expected. And I think because it has new lines, we might have to. Is there a C# way to do it, or are we gonna have to manually like encode those in there? What is it?
There is. I think there's the @ one. Like you put the @ in front of the thing, and that makes it. But I think that's going to include all those tabs on lines 83 onwards.
Oh yeah, you're right. You might be right about that.
So you might have to remove them.
How do we feel about? Oh, I guess it is multi-line no matter what. Okay.
Yeah, and it's an approval test, so we would get rid of it at the end of our work anyway, so we don't care too much about how it looks.
Gotcha. Okay, well let's swap that in and try to run it.
All right, let me give it a run. Okay, still okay. Now we're into some fun territory.
Okay, well, yeah. I suppose we could use the debugger if you want to rotate.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, why don't we rotate?
Cool.
Okay, I'm typing.
I'm talking. So let's set a breakpoint and debug it. We can see what type, or we can see what's inside output. Oops,
yeah. There it is.
Okay. And then can we see what's inside expected? I guess, okay, so they're visually the same. So it's definitely some kind of like white space.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a tab or a new line. If we hover over output and you get like the little inspector view, what do we see? We see a carriage return on the end, not this view, because this hides.
There is a blank line at the end of that one, and not at the. So I think it might be just it needs a blank line at the end.
Okay. Let's
Shall I give that a quick try?
Yeah, let's try that. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Still is not happy, so I'll go back to debugging.
After each line, this one's got a R and then a new line. And then what does expected have?
Expected
this one has the same thing. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, what I can try to do is copy directly from here the output and replace this. Oh, I guess got one extra quotation mark.
Yeah, I wonder if this will do it.
It's still not happy. There's something about this string that is not the same.
Maybe we just pop it into an online text differ.
Oh, actually, this looks different, doesn't it? Oh, it's because it's pushed out here, the image. Yeah. I think something very straightforward.
Yeah, I can't see anything though.
How about the immediate window? What was the unexpected? So this is only getting them side by side.
Wait, there's missing a space after bold and brash. Oh, what's going on with the It's also like extra escaping.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, wait, how did that happen? Because it looks like now in the expected string.
Oh, you know what? The at thing, I think, causes it to interpret, it like doesn't, so the /r/n are not new lines. So I think we've shot ourselves in the foot there.
Yeah. Do
So
we,
maybe if we remove the at. Oh yeah, now it's showing up as it's interpreting those special characters.
Gotcha. But what about the spacing after the painting names? I don't know how those got wiped out.
Yeah, that is weird, isn't it? Is it for every painting name?
Yeah, because if we look in the expected and actual, that's the difference now.
This is from this display, so it should be namespace. That's very strange, isn't it?
I think it was just like a weird copy paste thing. I think we should recopy in the actual.
All right.
Or sorry, the expected. Or the actual. Yeah.
The actual, right? Okay. Yeah. Let me. Okay, I'll debug it one more time. And so the output should be the actual, and that does have the spaces in. So let's go ahead and fix that up. All right, and success.
All right.
All right. So the hardest part of that was copying the string accurately.
Yeah, yeah.
So which interestingly is a good reason to like, actually, I think with the time that we took on it, if we were like, not that we are C# programmers day to day, but if we were, it probably would have been easier for us to add the approval tests package and just make an approval test.
Yeah, that's for
Cool.
sure.
All right. What next?
What now?
Hey, I asked you.
I don't know. Let's see. I guess.
Okay. Well, let's check the coverage.
Yes, good idea.
That was our goal here.
After we spent so long in there, I forgot that was our goal.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, looks good to me. The only things we're missing are these two setters for these things that have default values. I don't care about that. I don't know about you.
Nope.
Cool. Yeah, this is a good opportunity for us to get on our soapbox and say it's almost never worth striving for 100% coverage. You know, when you're trying to add tests to existing stuff, because you're just going to end up like, you know, when people say, hey, you must have 100% coverage, and people just then write stupid tests like, I just check that this setter works, and it's like, well, that seems highly unlikely to not work.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So
now we feel more confident. We have some test coverage. Well, we know we have test coverage over the code that we're about to start changing. So what stands out in our set of? Okay, so we have this replace primitive with object. So do we see any primitive obsession around here?
Yeah. There's definitely some primitive obsession with these rarities, these painting rarities, because that's just a string. And then it looks like it's, you know, it's a string that means many things, or only a set number of things, but it could be anything, which is not good.
Indeed, yeah, it's basically an enumeration, isn't it? There is a limited set of possible rarities, but by being obsessed with this string primitive, we're allowing people to say any string could be a rarity. Well, we know that's not actually the case. So not only is it not really very informative, but it's also not really helpful to someone using this API, because they would have to A, remember these, and B, go somewhere and find out what they are, probably to a document, maybe, and also not spell them wrong.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what are we going to do about it?
Well, we could replace primitive with object if we want. We could do like an enumeration instead of the string.
Yeah.
You know, try to safely refactor that in.
Yeah, I am down to do that. And I think that, you know, when we were looking at this in the book, the second edition, which is JavaScript, the recipe for this refactoring is literally convert it to an object, right? So like take an object that, make an object that has a constructor that accepts the primitive, and then use that to wrap it. I think given that we have enumerations in this language, it makes sense to go there first.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think some of the safety steps can be skipped on a lot of just the fact we have a compiler and everything. We have enumerations. We'll be able to do this pretty safe.
Yeah, we're working in a safer environment and we're statically typed.
Yep.
Cool. Alrighty. Shall I continue typing and you will talk?
Sure. Yep. Let's go to the top of the file.
All right.
And normally I would say let's make a new file, but since this is, you know, an example, we'll keep it condensed. So let's do line 23.5, and we'll make a new public enum. Named rarity. Okay, and we've got very common, I think we can start with.
All right. Do you want me to use like the same casing?
I don't know. What do you think? We could. I feel like if we did the snake casing, we'd just come back down the line and rename them.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I for full disclosure, I did work through this one on my own a little bit, and one thing that I really like about the refactoring book is the focus on keeping it in a compiling and working state at all times. And so I liked the sort of very step-by-step approach. So what I had done was start with an enumeration, that had the snake case names, and then use the the language to convert between them. So we were still passing the strings, but then under the hood, change it to use the enumeration, and then expose the enumeration above that. It's an approach, but another approach would be worth trying. Probably, the benefit of a kata is we get to try multiple approaches.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I briefly remember trying the fix in place thing on my own, but maybe we could try that again. Honestly, I'd be interested to see if we can make.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So let's do snake case then. So we'll just copy in all of these. Yeah. Very common. Then I think there's common, and then I think there's, what is it? Rare and unique.
Rare, very rare, unique.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. What else? Is that it for the rarities?
That's all that I could see. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, given that it is a string, so it could technically be anything, but.
Indeed. All right. So I don't know. So in that case, now I'm thinking if we're gonna be like converting these things from strings to an enum in place, I don't want to have a bunch of enum dot, what is it, like parse names or whatever the call is around. So I'm thinking we should just make a little helper, maybe like rarity string, or am I jumping too far?
Well, how would you feel about switching roles right now?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I'll set it to follow you. So yeah, and just I'll kind of talk. We'll kind of just go through what I have in mind, and then we could kind of reflect and see if we want to proceed in that direction. So here's what I was thinking. On line 24, let's rename rarity there to rarity enum. I don't plan to leave it like that, but I think at the moment it's just kind of confusing because we have this property on line 38 called rarity already. So I think if it's like public rarity, then it kind of just is weird and confusing. And so what I was thinking is the painting currently has a member which is of type string, and it also has accessors which access type string. What I would suggest is so let's say line 34.5. Let's add a private rarity enum. And let's just call it enum, or let's call it rarity, sorry, lowercase rarity, just to distinguish it. And then on line 39, rather than kind of using these, and I guess I notice on line now 40 that it is defaulted to common. So let's do that on 35. So we'll default that to rarity enum common, just to match it. And actually, one thing I was thinking, Declan, I think there is a way to have the tests kind of run continuously in the background.
I think there is as well.
Live unit testing. I'm just going to hit start on that because I think that could be beneficial for us.
Yeah, it says that it's running on my end, so we'll see. Yeah, look, it looks like I'm seeing.
Cool. Yeah, great. And it also shows that the status on, like directly in the code, which is nice. Cool. So hopefully, as we go, it will tell us if we break something. So yeah, so on line 40. Let's delete the equals common. And basically what I want to do is change the getter and setter from the automatic ones to ones that will access that member on line 35.
Gotcha. Just do prerequisite stuff for that. Like get set. Okay.
Yeah, and so let's do the get first because that's easy. So we'll just do we'll return rarity.toString. So convert the enum to a string and return it. And then for the set, this might be another trip to Stack Overflow because I cannot remember this off the top of my head. But there is, I think it's try enum.parse.
Yeah, it's enum.parse with the enum type.
Nice.
And then string. I think that's how this works. Right?
Yeah, and then also on 49, instead of assigning it to that temporary, let's just assign it to the member rarity.
On line 49. Okay, yes, I forgot. Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like the tests are all still passing. I see them running in the background there.
Yep.
There's a screwdriver flashing on line 36.
Oh, I don't actually see that.
Oh, it's saying, do we want to generate an equals or whatever? It's giving us some helpful hints, which we're going to ignore for right now. They're not relevant to our process.
Good.
So yeah, so how are we feeling about this? This is basically what I was trying to suggest we do. So now we've, at least inside of painting, we've eliminated that primitive, but we still refer to it externally.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about this. It's very cool, like in place. You know, at least we're like halfway there or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would also throw an exception, I believe, if that parse failed. So if someone were to try and set it to a string value that isn't a rarity we support, it would blow up.
Right.
So we also know that we got all of the use cases for strings, right?
I mean, we were a little bit more safe than we were before.
Yeah. But and specifically, I guess what I'm saying is because it didn't blow up, we know that we have in our enum all the values that we need.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So how do you feel about? Do you want to switch and then kind of go even further and expose the rarity enum outside?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. All right then. I am typing. You're talking.
All right, I'm talking. Let's see. So how do we want to do this? We have our right now. We kind of just like refer to it everywhere as a string already. And how do we want to actually take the step to exposing this internal enum? I think we're gonna get a break along the way, aren't we? Like, yeah. I think what we could try is just changing the type on line 41.
All right. And let's see what breaks.
Okay, basically everything. Yeah. And I guess what we could do now, I mean, all right, well, let's fix the set it a getter and setter then. So let's just now return our rarity. Oh yeah, we don't even need to do anything now. I think they could just be auto. Yeah. Get set. Okay, and then we need the default as well. We have to set up a default.
Oh yeah. Of course, you're right. Yeah. Although interestingly, no tests are failing.
That is interesting. I wonder if that's a live test issue.
Let me go run the tests manually.
Because we definitely expect.
Oh, I see. Oh. Of course, it can't run the test because we don't have a build that works right now. This makes sense.
Of course. Okay, so let's handle that. Wherever we see, we're just gonna have to go through and manually change some strings around now. So on line 69, we're gonna do rarity.veryCommon.
So if purity equals very common.
Then we've got unique and rare.
Right. Okay.
Currently popular rarity is also a thing. We can leave that for now. Let's take care of the other strings first. So each of these paintings now, yeah, needs to be initialized with the rarity enum.
Mhm. It feels like a pretty safe change. I'm not even changing the string. I'm just putting rarity enum dot in front of it and removing the quotes.
Yeah. If you were some kind of wizard, you could even like regex this with a
For sure,
quoting
yeah,
markers,
yeah.
Let's go up and fix that. What was that? The trending painting type? Oh,
Oh, sorry. And I think
I
also
forgot
in the
about the
tests, we
tests.
had some of those ones that you'd wanted
Yeah.
to fix up.
Totally forgot about the test. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, it does feel like a very safe change, even though I'm like changing stuff by hand.
Right.
Like I feel like I can't really go wrong here.
And we saw it work with the enum like before. So okay. Now let's see currently popular rarity. Well, that's not a string anymore because this is referring to the same type of rarity that we just refactored. So we can go ahead and change that on line 64.
Okay. So basically, change it to
Rarity enum. Yeah, the type and the value.
All right. Very right.
And we have is that one more error there? Or? Oh,
Yep, looks like one more test that I missed. Definitely leaning on the compiler here.
Yep. And we have test failure, though. No.
Uh-oh. Yep, so let's see. Painting with trending art market. Final painting value is correct. So it expected 0.5. It was actually 0.25.
Oh, wow. I'm actually impressed that we broke something here.
Also, we broke our approval test for main here.
Huh.
So yeah, which is interesting, right? Because that the bit that felt weird was that last bit where we changed the rare, like the trending, the current popular rarity.
Yeah, maybe we undo that and do that the way that we tried before. You know what I'm saying? Like with the I wish we could copy and paste that now, but yeah, let's go ahead and let's undo that. Yeah, keep that, and now let's try the safe way.
So if I can make a suggestion, what we could do is, because we're just comparing it here, what we could do is convert one of these to the other, just for right now, to get it compiling and see if this was the cause of the test failure.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's do that. I think it's yeah.
Yeah, so probably if we just did the toString on the rarity, that would be the simplest.
I think so.
All right, let's see. Is it still unhappy? Yeah, it looks like we are still failing. So
Looks
this
like
is very.
I think it's the test. I think the build is. I think the test still has a.
Oh, right, yeah. We'll just do toString on that as well. Let's see. So it builds.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so still we have the same problem. So that was not the issue. So we did something wrong when we were fixing all those things up.
What did we do? Did we give something a different rarity?
Maybe.
What should we do in this scenario? Do we even waste our time investigating, or do we just undo and do a safe refactor?
I think we just undo, in all honesty.
Yeah. Let's undo. If we had a commit, we could get there quicker, but
yeah, but we don't. So we're just gonna undo. Undo.
All right, we're back.
Let me bring it back to that was right before we did that, wasn't it? I'll do the same in the test file. Undo.
It hurts a little bit to lose the progress, but you know it was broken, so.
Yeah, well, I guess the feedback it's giving us is that we tried to take too big a step.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think we still have something else to undo in the main program file.
Did I not revert something?
It's it needs to still be a string type on
Oh,
line
yeah.
41. Yeah.
Right.
Can't tell if the tests are running.
Yeah, that's the thing about that live testing. It's hard to know if they're actually running. I'm not sure I trust it so much. Okay, so all the tests are green here. Oh, and the live one has caught up now.
All right.
Cool.
So
It would be nice if it had like some kind of
yeah.
thing that said, I ran these 2 seconds ago or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Feature request, Visual Studio team.
If you're watching.
If you're watching, which I know you are. Okay.
Well, how do we approach this now that we know that the way that we thought was the safest is not safe?
Well, I guess, first of all, we congratulate ourselves on being able to get back to a safe state, right? And honestly, it wasn't that long that we were in a broken state. It did feel to me like it was quite a big step we were taking. But also it felt like it was perfectly reasonable. So yeah, I don't know exactly what went wrong, but yeah, we can kind of go back to first principles and try again.
Yeah. Is there some possible way that we skipped over, like
Potentially.
a smaller
Yeah.
step?
I mean, so I wonder if it was that the currently popular rarity that did bite us somehow, because it was just a different value, wasn't it? And the inputs didn't change. And we know that whether the art market is for, maybe it was whether it's trending. I don't know. Oh, who's? I forgot. I think we've kind of fallen out of our roles. I don't know who's driving right now.
Yeah, I think I was talking and you're typing, but we could rotate.
Okay, cool. So you type, I will talk. I'm going to set it to follow you. Well, so how about that? So we know from our little adventure that on line 63, the change we made there actually worked just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Did something happen?
Something happened on my end. It looked weird, but I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so on line 63, let's go ahead and let's do the same thing that we did for this inside of painting.
This thing?
Well, I think instead of that, we could do that, but I think let's try skipping a step and just making this an enum and seeing if this works.
Okay.
Cool. And let's see, how are our tests looking? Oh, it's complaining. So we have a compile issue here, line 81.
Yeah. We have to do the same thing as before. I go one way or the other.
Yeah, so let's do the other, right? Let's take currently popular rarity and toString it.
Okay.
And then the other one is in the tests. Right, so we'll just make that the enum.
Cool.
Okay. And so it looks like it's compiling. I really wish there was a way to know if these tests had run.
Yeah.
Maybe there is. But I guess we will have to look at it later. Just as a sanity check, just going to run the test manually. Okay, so everything is green. So that worked. We know that wasn't the problem.
Okay.
So I can't think of really anything else to do other than to try exposing that as an enum again.
Yeah. I think trying again might be a good idea.
I guess we could add we could temporarily add another member there, or method. Property, sorry, is the correct terminology. We can add another property temporarily and go through and switch over to that. Do you see what I mean? So let's say on line 50, on line 53, it would be public rarity enum, rarity, yeah, rarity 2. That's a good one. And that will be easy to search for. Although I'd like it to be backed by the same thing. So I'd like it to be backed by the same member.
So we're still.
Oh, so yeah, so that'd be just return rarity.
Rarity.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a weird bug. Okay. There we go.
Cool. So now we have a duplicate of the property which has the different types. And so yeah, let's go and change things one by one over to use rarity 2.
Can we run the tests first?
We'll run the tests in between each one, yeah, for sure. I'll do it manually because I don't trust the live thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're green.
So we look good. Let's run again.
Well, this needs to be converted. It's not compiling right now on line 81.
Oh yes, because of course, yeah.
Okay.
Still get no errors.
Yeah, that's with the errors that show up on your end. Tests are green.
All right.
On to line 85.
Rarity 2, rarity enum.
Right, running the tests. All good. Line 89.
Okay.
Okay, running the tests. Still running, all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, now.
We move into
line of 161.
Construction. Yeah. So rarity is rare, but now we don't care about that. We just want rarity 2.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, build arrows.
Sorry, I think I have changed too quick. Try again.
Green.
Okay.
On to the next one.
Rarity 2 is rarity enum, very rare. Of course, all right.
All right, I'm running the tests. They're green.
Okay. Already feeling a lot better. Let's keep going. Rarity 2. I'm now in the test file.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm running the tests. They're green.
Next one.
All right, running the tests. They are green.
All right, and I think this is the last one.
And I'm running the tests. And they're green.
Okay. Now what?
Well, now let's remove the original rarity because we think it shouldn't be being used anymore. And okay, it looks like it is unhappy.
Oh, no.
On line 82.
Oh, we did miss this.
Okay, so before, okay, yeah. Well, I'm thinking let's go back and let's unremove. And then let's go and fix up those other two.
I think it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that looks right. Yeah. And was there one more? Oh, that was it. Okay, so let's try. Let me run the test actually for sanity. They're green. Okay, and let's sorry, let's remove the thing.
Gotcha. All right. It's gone. Oh no.
Build arrows.
Again.
So that's line 106. So let's put it back in. Let's go line 106. Oh, line 106 in the adjusted one, but
line 119 now. So
p.rarity 2.
Do we need a 2 string or will C# just do it? I think
it would just do it. Yeah.
Okay, let's run the tests.
All right, I'm running the tests. They all pass. Great.
All right.
Now let's remove the rarity. And I'll run the tests. It all passes. Cool. And now let's rename rarity 2 to rarity. We'll do using the rename. So if you F2 on it.
I just double do Control R. Rarity. I think that worked. Yeah. Let's run the test.
Oh, you run the tests. And they're all green.
All right.
All right. Yeah, we made it.
We basically did. Do we want to take the final step of
Yeah, we could. Let's do that.
We'll just turn that into an auto property. Honestly, I think it should have like suggested and been able to do that itself, but I'm not properly seeing things. But I think that's all we had to do there.
Yeah. All right. And so I think we've gone to a decent state. We took us a little while. we did some stuff. Should we do a really brief retro?
Sure.
All right. So what did we think? What went well? What didn't go so well?
Well, as we already said before, we got a little stuck, but not. Yeah, we did get a little stuck on some C# thing. Also live share does not work nearly as well in Visual Studio as it did for Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, that's an interesting learning. The live unit testing I initially liked, but it was hard to know because like it doesn't give any feedback if it's not working because stuff isn't compiling.
Yeah, I thought we were totally good, and it turns out we hadn't built in a long time, so it's kind of like shoot yourself in the foot with that one.
Right. Yeah, I'd like if it like would all gray them out or something as soon as you start changing code, and it hasn't yet run the tests on it. That would be nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So the other thing is like I think we got there in the end, and we did make an improvement, but it was less than I was hoping that we would get done. And also, when we reached that point where the test started failing, a nice thing we were able to do was to revert back to a known good state. And I think you called it out at the time that we didn't need to know why it was broken. Right, we probably made some silly mistake. It probably will be actually obvious to folks watching the video what went wrong. Yeah. But the benefit, I guess, the benefit and the curse in a way was that we were able to just be like, okay, let's back out and try again. We didn't need to know, and we found out really quite soon after we made the mistake that we had made the mistake. And if we hadn't have had those tests, then we would have had no way of knowing. Like in a situation where we didn't have those tests, and I think the tests that failed were ones that at least one of them was the approval test, the one that we had added, and I think the other one was the trending art market, which I think we also added, maybe.
Yeah.
So those tests that we added, they actually saved us from breaking the program, right, in a way that we wouldn't have probably found out. Like even with such a simple program as this, it's actually super hard to reason about when you make a change, what actually might break. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think those tests definitely saved us. It was a good idea to add those in there, especially the big approval test. But I mean, as to like, we didn't really get that far, but also I feel like we picked a particularly troublesome one. Like as far as concepts go in this program, it's the rarity thing that spreads through everything. It's in the main object, it's checked in every function. So I'd argue it was a high value refactor.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how long it would take me on the actual job to like find whatever bug we just introduced. Like it changed the number from 4.5 to 0.5, and I read this
thing, you probably find out when
idea.
Someone, when a painting sold at auction for 1/10 of its price, right? And then there'd be big trouble.
So if we did invest in the tests and the safe refactor,
Martin Fowler would be very unhappy when his museum became bankrupt.
Absolutely.
And I think like it's I remember saying, as we were going through making that change that broke, wow, I feel really confident about this change. This feels like a really safe change to me, which I think is a great illustration of how bad we are generally at understanding the impact of changes we make, even in this tiny, tiny example, right? And I'm not inexperienced, right? But it felt to me like a safe change. And I was wrong. It was an unsafe change, and the test told us. And so I think like the idea of using a structured practice like this and of focusing on being in a good state for the most time that you can be is super beneficial, because even the most experienced of us are actually not great at holding everything in our heads about even a small problem space.
Yeah, I really want to see like a little cut highlight of like, oh, we're so comfortable with this change, it's so safe, and then we're just putting in a big error.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to leave it in. We're going to stick with the no edit
Yeah.
rule, because this is real. We don't want to be like bullshitting people and saying we're amazing programmers. Look how great we are. We're just people, and we're just trying to do a thing, and it's hard. And that's why you need structured practices, and they can be really helpful. So, all right. Well, I think we should close there. Thanks again, Declan, for joining me and being willing to show up, be vulnerable, and code in front of people. I think it's awesome, and hope that our loyal fan base find this also somewhat useful and interesting. And no doubt they will drop us the appropriate likes / comments telling us how amazing we are, or otherwise, as the case may be. All right. Well, see you next time. And thanks again, Declan.